Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Be a Better Landlord. There's no shortage of YouTube videos explaining how to get started with rental arbitrage, and we've even filmed a few. The problem is nobody explains it to landlords. Landlords are taking on most of the risk here, so I want to explain it from their perspective. If you're a landlord considering what rental arbitrage is, and if it's a good idea, what are the pros and cons, and whether or not you actually want to get involved, stick around with me today because we're going to go on this adventure together. So, what is short-term rental arbitrage? Short-term rental arbitrage is when somebody rents your property long-term to sublet it to short-term tenants through platforms like Airbnb, VRBO, and Booking.com. This is like someone renting out for a year and they're going to rent it out monthly or they're going to rent it out every few weeks, and it's just a business opportunity for them and potentially for you. The person subletting is called an arbitrage. Did I say that right?
That's right.
Cool. Hard word, but important thing to know. They are your tenant, and they are also a responsible party for the property. Their goal is to take advantage of the price difference between that monthly rent price and the per night prices on a lot of the platforms I mentioned before. So a good example is you're renting your property out for $3,000 a month, and they're going to rent it out for $400 a night. If they can rent it out for 7-8 nights in a row, they're already making money, and that becomes a good business opportunity for them. So what are they responsible for as your tenant, who are then renting it to somebody else? They're responsible for the rent to you. They have to adhere to the lease terms. They're going to be maintaining the property throughout the month, and they're going to be reporting any necessary repairs to you as the landlord. They're responsible for any damages, and they should be respecting your neighbors and allowing you access to the property just like any other tenant would. So, depending on the level of risk you're willing to take, this could be a great idea for you, but there are also lots of risks that you need to consider as part of it. So we'll go through some of the pros and then we'll go through some of the cons in this type of situation. Pros, you'll have to be dealing with a business or a business person at the very least. They have a different mindset than a typical tenant. You'll have reduced vacancy because you'll have a consistent income from this renter who's also a business person. You can also yield potentially higher rent because they are also looking at their margins and think they could pay more. Then the tenant is also invested in keeping the property in good condition because they're trying to rent it out to other people. There's some professionalism of this tenant because they're trying to have their own management company set into this type of relationship. There's also increased property visibility. Your property is getting marketed on a regular basis. That could be good for you. It could be bad. It just depends on what you're trying to do. Opportunities for co-hosting or a revenue sharing agreement could be in place. You could get a certain amount and then also make more if they rent it out over a certain threshold. And you might be able to make more money in these situations because they're short-term renters, and these people that are renting out your property could do some sort of rental share for you, and it could be an opportunity. Cons, there's a lot more turnover. There's a lot more wear and tear of your property. There's higher utility costs. There could be insurance complications, and there might be certain types of permits that you need to get. There could be neighbor complaints if you're getting a huge turnover. And there could be parking problems. There's a lot of just problems with a lot more use of the property. They also might use the property for things that you're not intending, which could be a problem. So I think the things that you need to have is a really strong lease when you're considering these things. So once you understand the pros and cons and you have a lease that you're confident in, it's something you should consider as a potential way to make more money from your property than a typical rental. So what are some other things you should consider when you're considering a business opportunity like this? 1, thoroughly research your location-specific regulations on short-term rentals. This could be a game changer and a huge problem if it's not okay. Check with your insurance provider to make sure you have the adequate coverage for a type of relationship like this. Get a really good lease that covers as many bases as you can. And finally, make sure you carefully vet the potential tenant and their experience with running a rental business. Are they doing this for the first time? Have they done this 30 times before? That could be a game changer on how you decide to move forward with this type of person. If you own a property in a highly desired location, rental arbitrage can be a good way to squeeze extra income out of it, but it does come with some of these risks that we talked about. Make sure you understand what these things are before you jump into something like this, but it could be a great opportunity. Some of the risks can also be circumvented by using TurboTenant. TurboTenant will help you write a great lease to deal with situations like this. It'll also make sure the person you're working with is vetted through a background check and they're a reputable person that you can work with. It'll also make sure that the rent comes on time every month. And if it doesn't, there's automatic late fees that you don't have to worry about. So whether or not this is for you, I highly recommend you go to TurboTenant.com and sign up to start using our software for free and managing your property in a more successful way.